Hey guys, we have our next interview lined up here on the Scratch Golf Show. We have a local pro here in the area to the newest course, the Cardinal. We have Chris Johnson, the Director of Instruction. Chris, welcome to the Scratch Golf Show, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, Marco, thanks for having me.
Sweet, sweet. So I know we are just chatting a little bit offline, but to start, let's just talk a little bit about you before we get into a lot of the meat and potatoes of the interview, which is going to be the Cardinal. But just let's say a two minute intro. Just tell the people of the Scratch Golf Show a little bit about you, and how you got your start at the Cardinal.
Yeah, so from Michigan originally, grew up in Chelsea, went to Ferris State, left the state in 2007 and went to Colorado for 13 years teaching golf there, and then 4 years in Portland, Oregon, and then I've heard about this new course being built in this area. I grew up coming here to hit balls in the winter
Yep.
because they had a heated driving range. Um, and then came to visit in February just to check it out. I knew they were looking for someone to come in and start an instruction program, and saw the facility, and that's really what kind of sealed the deal for me is
Yeah.
the golf course itself, but the par three course, the putting course. There's just so many options as an instructor, so many options to use and utilize with students. So um, yeah, so after 17 years, my wife and I moved back to Michigan.
That's awesome, man. You know what they say about Michigan? Once you leave, I feel like you always end up coming back, no matter
I
what.
know, I know.
It's wild. I moved to Chicago for a little bit, ended up coming back during COVID, and now here I am back in Michigan. So that's funny. And then for those who are watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify who aren't local here to the area, the Cardinal is a course that just recently reopened. It was part of the Inn at St. John's resort here in the area that does like a huge wedding facility, and they completely redesigned the course, reopened it as more of a resort course,
Yep.
and it just opened to the public here on June 23rd in the area. So that's what we're referring to when we say the Cardinal, just in case you guys who aren't local to the area. So thanks, Chris. So how was that move? I mean, 17 years, like I said, Denver on the West Coast. How was that, and how are you adjusting to the Michigan lifestyle?
Yeah, the move itself was moving, so not fun.
Yeah,
But we love being back in Michigan. Yeah,
yeah,
love it. Um, yeah, and we've as we talked before this, I haven't spent much time in this area, so there's a ton of golf courses that
yeah.
I'm now learning about in this area, and just really, yeah, really enjoying checking out all the towns. And I actually grew up. I was born in Livonia, was in Wixom until fifth grade, and then Chelsea. So I know a lot of the names of the towns, but didn't
Yeah.
spend much time over here in Novi and Northville, and that
Plymouth
was
obviously is
that was
super
Plymouth,
popular.
yeah. And that was 25 years ago. So obviously, it's a lot of it's changed as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And if you're in the comment section, maybe drop a recommendation if you're local to the area of where Chris should go for dinner or any recommendations. Always trying to promote Michigan
100%.
here. Awesome, man. So I know you mentioned you took a tour of the course in February. I guess how did you get in touch with it? Is it just something you found online, or I guess how did you end up kind of getting the job?
No, so the director of golf at the Cardinal was the director of golf at the club that I was at in Portland for 2 years.
Oh wow, okay,
I worked with him for 2 years in Portland, and then he ended up back in my home state of Michigan,
yeah.
which was wild because he was from the west.
As always, our video is brought to you by Core Chiropractic and Performance Center, a local family-owned business here in Michigan. Dr. Billy and Dr. Maddie offer a wide variety of services, from chiropractic to rehabilitation to sports injury to a ton of other ones. Make sure you visit corecpc.com to schedule your free consultation. Mention the Scratch Golf Show to receive a discount on your first appointment. Enjoy the rest of the video with Chris, guys.
West Coast. I don't think he ever thought he was going to end up in Michigan, but
Yeah,
he was took the opportunity to come to Michigan and open up the facility, and
yeah,
we stayed in touch, and he just kept telling me how awesome it was. And when I finally saw it, I didn't really trust him until I got here and saw it,
yeah,
and then realized it. So,
yeah,
but yeah, we caught Michigan in February, and it was like 55 and
yep,
sunny, and So we got tricked. We know what's coming in a few months.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know what's
Yeah,
coming.
for sure. I play golf in February. I think I played like the week of my birthday, which is early February. So,
Yeah,
I get that. I get that. And I know you keep talking about the facilities. I personally can attest to how awesome the facilities are. The new putting green. It's so weird because I similar to you. I've grown up in this area my whole life for the most part. Outside of like 4 years, I spent in Chicago. I went to school at Michigan State and Western. So been around there my whole life. It's so weird, kind of turning on to 5 Mile from Sheldon going into Carl's, right? And you see that
yeah,
old par three that used to be there. Now
yeah,
it's just a giant flat putting green, putting course.
yep.
Guys have turned some of the old holes into the par three course, and obviously made a championship designed, 18-hole course, which has been super cool to see. So let's talk a little bit before we get into the course. Let's just talk a little bit about your instruction. I guess talk just a little bit about what you offer. If there's anyone listening who is looking for lessons, obviously whatever you want. But I guess what do your instruction look like, and how have you really adapted your teaching style to having the great facilities of the Cardinal?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm doing definitely more group instruction than I was in Portland. In Portland,
Yeah,
I was at a private club, so it was a lot of just just private lessons. Most of my clientele were just members of the club. I was able to teach non-members, but
yeah,
um, yeah. So coming to the Cardinal, I'm definitely doing more small group lessons, which I love. So I've got bless you. I've got a ladies academy, a junior academy, which are just both small groups and getting those folks on the course as well. Short game clinics and then private lessons as well. I still love doing private lessons.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, like I said, I think a lot of the instruction that people typically do is they go take a lesson on the range and then they leave and they may or may not work on it on their own and then they come
yeah,
back. So like the thing that I try and do is just get people into situations where it's mimicking golf on the golf course. So whether that be actually on the golf course, so if somebody comes for a lesson and it's maybe their second or third lesson, I'll take them on the course pretty early because
yeah,
I want to see what happens out there. And that's where the par three course is really helpful because I can take them out and we can hit short shots and
yeah,
put one ball in play and mimic what it's like to play on the course, right? Or the putting course, same thing. Plus, it's more
yeah,
fun. It's more fun to do a lesson playing a lot of times than it is to
for sure.
bang
Yeah,
balls on the
I
range.
agree. And a lot of people, at least for me, I'm like a scratch. I'm a scratch, so I'm halfway decent. For me, a lot of it is just simulating on course. Like it's so easy to swing free when you're on the range because there's no hazard, there's no trouble to think about.
100%.
Obviously the mental game is super important. On course stuff I think is the best type of practice. So, if I ever go out by myself, I'm always trying to play a couple balls, hit different shots,
Totally.
right? And I think and
Totally.
then for me, it's something I really, I got a lot of buddies who are trying to break 90, 80, stuff like that. I always recommend practicing short shots. For me, I've always gone to the par three course of Fox Hills over here because, until you guys, there wasn't one, but
Yep.
practicing short shots, practicing 150, that's how you're going to get better because those
Yep.
are the clubs you hit the most. So I can only imagine, getting out there on an actual par three course, different types of shots, yardages for your students is awesome to simulate that real life, type of practice.
Yeah. No question. Because a lot of times you're working on something on the range and like I see it all the time where somebody is aiming 30 yards right and you don't really know that on the range,
Right.
so you take them on the course and like everything they're doing on the range starts to make sense based on alignment, right? So it's
Yeah,
simple stuff like that it's hard to pick up on the range.
for sure.
100%.
No,
Yeah.
I can 100% attest to that type of stuff. That's why I always use alignment sticks. I have to because I
Yeah.
just feel like you get so lackadaisical, and that's when you create bad habits when you're
Yeah.
not doing the basic stuff that you people don't even think that's important, right? Alignment, putting, chipping, the stuff that the basic easy stuff is sometimes the most key. So I can attest to that.
Yeah. Well, and that's what if you go to a pro event, you see alignment sticks.
Yeah,
Literally every single player is using alignment sticks
yeah,
on the range. Yeah.
for sure. And they're all practicing putting and they're all practicing
Yeah.
speed. No one's
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
It's wild. If they're doing it, we should probably do it too,
Yes.
right? Awesome. So let's transition a little bit more into the Cardinal. I know we were just talking about the putting course and the par 3 course. I guess let's start there before we move into the actual course itself. Talk to the people a little bit about what the par 3 course looks like, how many holes, yardages, stuff like that, and then we'll go to the putting course, and then we'll transition to the actual championship course itself.
Yeah, so 7-hole par 3 course. Every tee is artificial turf, but it's hard to describe. I think that sends red flags when you say that, right? Artificial turf, but it's not the normal turf that everybody's used to. So it's these huge, perfectly square,
mats.
awesome pieces of artificial turf. It's different from the driving range mats that I think
for sure. Yeah, and I don't.
But every hole has 3 sets of tees. They range from the longest hole is 112 yards. Shortest hole is, and that's from the back tee, right? Shortest hole is 56 yards, I believe, from the back tee. So there's even options that are much shorter than that. But they maintain it the same as the championship course. So the greens are running the same, beautiful bunkers. Every green is designed after a famous type of architecture. So we have a Redan green, we have a Sahara green. Everybody watched maybe not everybody, but most people watched the Open 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We have a postage stamp green.
That's sweet.
So it's and there's a plaque describing every single green complex and why that green is shaped the way it is. So it's not just a kind of a typical par 3 where it's just a short hole and then they're all really interesting holes. Really, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to say like mats earlier. If you've played I know that the par 3 course at Pebble has done the same type of thing where they have the artificial, really manicured. And for anyone listening or watching, don't let that discourage you. I've checked them out. It is 100% legit. Like I said, like Chris mentioned, that they're perfectly manicured and the greens are shaped here and manicured. Excuse me, like the championship course, which is perfectly good greens as well. And it's a good shot. Like you said, those like 57 yards, 60, 70 yard shots, I feel like those are always the best ones to practice because they're shots that you probably have more than you should or more than you realize. And so that type of stuff is probably great practice for somebody to go out there, regardless of handicap. I know for me, I love practicing those shots to go out there and just get some good wedge work in for the day just by practicing in your own right. That's a great type of practice in my opinion.
No question. Yeah. And and it's good for good players and it's good for beginners. And those folks can play together and enjoy it at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's so awesome. So the par 3 course. Now let's go to the putting course, which like I said, I know we talked about earlier, but it's still so weird to me seeing that perfectly manicured giant putting green. But what does the putting course look like? Is it an actual like putting course, or is it just there for practice? What does that look like?
So it's an 18 hole putting course. I would say
it's an 18 hole putting course.
I take people, people that are visiting or friends, family. I take them on a tour, usually at the facility if I have time. And that's like the part of the property that gets the biggest, like, whoa, when I pull around the corner and that putting course pops up because it's just kind of unexpected. It's 2 acres, real grass. So again, it's the maintenance crew starts with the Cardinal, then they move to the par 3, then they move to the putting course all on the same day. So each one has staggered start times, but they're all kept exactly the same. So it's the same greens that you'll find on the championship course. But it's 18 holes, a lot of undulation. We have tee markers out there that are drink holders, and then which are labeled. We have a bar out there called the Dak Shack, great daiquiris. They don't skimp on their alcohol out there. They're nice, good drinks. But so each hole has a drink holder telling you which hole you're on. So hole 1 is marked, and then you're putting to the flag that has a 1 on it, and it changes every single day. So they move the tee markers every day. They mow it every day. They cut new cups. So it's and I see them out there all the time checking the moisture of the green. So they're really they treat it like everything else. But it's a lot of fun again for any type of golfer. So
Yeah.
I've been out there with really avid golfers, and you know, we're gambling and
Yeah.
we're talking trash. And then I've been out there with people that like literally have never played. You know, I think most people have played putt putt, but besides that,
Yeah.
but this is not putt putt. This is definitely elevated putt putt. So if anybody's been
Yeah.
to, it's modeled after the Himalayan course at St. Andrews. So St. Andrews has a putting. They actually have a putting membership at St. Andrews and putting tournaments. So our course uh, is modeled after that. So it's a lot of fun. It's awesome.
Yeah. That's sweet, man. That's awesome. I didn't know it was. I knew. I remember reading it was a putt, but like not a putt, like I said, elevated putt putt course right in.
Putt putt
And I
trigger
know
that word triggers me now.
I feel that. I think like I know we were just talking about, it, but even like for somebody like that's great for practicing. Like I mean, for me, I'm a competitor. Like how I get better is results oriented. Like if I go out there, if I have whatever 18 two putts, I'm gonna try and get better on improve on those results. But it's still
Totally.
fun just to go out there and compete. It's go out there to good. See how how many three putts. Whatever you're working on, you can always
Yep.
incorporate something like that into your practice. And like you said, you're being simulated on real greens,
Yep.
pure speed, purely rolled greens that are going to roll true. So it can really improve your putting. And like I said, that's what I always give recommendations is chipping and putting. Go prove that. And at the par 3 course and the putting course at the Cardinal, you can do both. And like you said, you got
Totally.
great daiquiris, which doesn't skimp on the
Yeah.
alcohol, which
Yeah.
is awesome. I'll have to make sure I check it out next year I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
there. Cool. So let's transition now to the championship course.
Yeah. Great.
How I know you just started, but how much I guess insight did you kind of have into the course prior to joining? And like I guess did you have any like insight into the renovation or remodel at all, or I guess how did that work?
Yeah. So I kept in touch, as I mentioned, with the director of golf, and
Yeah,
so I never played the old course.
yeah,
So I didn't really have a reference for. You can start to see where the holes were, and everybody talks
yeah,
about that par three that used to be, on the north side of Carl's there,
yeah,
and so I didn't have a great reference for what it used to be, but
yeah,
but I came to visit, and the course was closed for over 2 years, right? They gave
yeah,
It's like it would be a dream for a maintenance staff. I would think, is to have a course
yeah.
with no play, growing grass, mowing it for 2 years. So I showed up in
Right.
February, and it was just it was the purest golf course I ever
Yeah,
saw. It was just like no divots, no ball marks. Um, the tee boxes everything's brand new, right? So tee boxes are level
yeah,
and square, and um, it's got a lot of. It's just a championship golf course. I kept saying
yeah,
to my wife as we were touring it, like, this is a proper golf course. Kind of was the quote I kept saying.
yeah,
Just every hole was just beautiful, and the conditioning was great. And so yeah, I had no idea what I was flying in. You could get an
yeah,
idea from online, but um, didn't really know what I was coming to visit. To be honest, I just like I said, I had come over a few times in high school to hit balls, but that was it.
yeah, yeah. I was not a huge fan of the old course. Obviously, a huge fan of the
Yeah,
redesign. I didn't like the old layout. It felt like crammed. I felt like it's not a property that can have 27 hole proper
yeah,
holes. Now to see some of the property, I guess I want to say not being used, but sectioned off, whether it's being used for the par 3 or other stuff. I think you guys have done a great
yeah,
job of building out the golf course. Some of the holes, reusing some of the holes from the old layout, but also building new holes. I know a couple. I think 4 and 5 are both new holes being, the par
yep,
fives back to back being built
yep,
out. Um, and it's been awesome. And I had the same thing. Like I know we talked about it. We were messaging when we were setting this up. Like that was my opinion of the course. A proper pure golf
yeah.
course. Like I compared it to like I don't know if I know you probably haven't played Meadowbrook, but
Have
Meadowbrook is very
yeah,
pure, shaved off,
Yeah.
like everything's level, but with trees. And I can't say enough of how much I love the quality of the
Awesome.
course.
Yeah.
I know obviously as you guys get more play, the maybe the pureness kind of would go away a little bit. Sounds like you guys have a great maintenance team over there, and like I said, that was my reaction to a very good, proper golf course, and I love it. So like I said, highly recommend playing it if you haven't as a Michigan resident yet in the area.
Yeah. There's very few places that kind of feel like a private, that are public golf courses that also feel like a private golf experience. And
Yeah,
it just has that feel when you're driving around. And I've played a ton of private golf, not in this area, obviously,
mm-hmm.
but
Yeah,
overall, and this is, yeah, it's in just as good, if not better, condition than those. A
I
lot of
agree,
them.
100% agree.
When you played it recently, and we
Yeah,
opened over a month ago now, and we've been busy. We've been doing weekends over 200 rounds a day, which is a lot. And so
Jesus, yeah,
we're definitely, you're seeing some more divots and some ball marks, but really it's held up great. I think
yeah,
we had we have about 100 members, like local. I don't know if you know that.
yep,
We sold a membership
yep,
locally called the Cardinal Club. So we did a soft opening for those folks. May and June they were playing, and yeah, I think they, we've always been monitoring the golf course, and they were concerned
yeah,
about, once we start getting a ton of play, what was the condition of the course going to be, and I
yeah.
was just out there a few days ago, and it's held up great. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, and if you're local, for the local people who are listening or watching, can you just talk a little bit about the Cardinal Club? I know a little bit about the membership being a Canton resident, but just talk a little bit about that and what opportunities people have to actually join and be a member of the course
Yeah, so
itself.
we did a season long membership, um, that was 7,000 for the year. And that just includes
Yeah,
unlimited golf, and then it includes some amenities at the resort, a discount on food and beverage. Um, but a big thing that it includes is a 14-day advanced booking window. Um, and then we
yeah,
did a corporate membership as well, which is just basically prepaying for rounds of golf. So it's either you're getting a 50 round pack or a 100 round pack, and then you can have larger groups out there. So using it up to 16 players in a no,
yeah.
12 players. Nobody quote me on any of this. All right. No, 12
Fair
players
enough.
on a day. So like people that own businesses in the area and are taking clients out. Uh, but the cool thing is the resident program that we did. So if you're in, I usually have a sticky note in the golf shop when people are asking me this question. But if you're
I,
in Plymouth,
Plymouth,
Novi,
Canton, Livonia, I believe.
Livonia,
Okay, there,
South Lyon, Canton, what I miss? Plymouth, I said Plymouth, yeah.
yeah.
Northville. So those six
So,
cities, you get a discounted rate. So you get 60
yep,
dollars off the green fee during the week, 65 off on the weekend. So, um, and it's unique because a lot of courses that offer that resident rate is usually tied in with like being a municipal golf course, right? So it's kind of tied in with the
yeah,
government. We are not. But one thing that they wanted to do is still, they wanted to upgrade the facility and the resort, but they
yeah,
still wanted to take care of the local membership, or the locals in
for
the
sure.
area. So
Yeah,
yep, that's how they ended up doing that.
yeah. And so basically, if you're in within 30 miles of the
Yep.
course, Canton, Livonia, Plymouth, wherever it is, you're gonna get that discount. I got the discount being a Canton resident. Like I said, I can't recommend it enough. If you haven't played the Cardinal, go ahead and make your tee time soon because it's a really really good course. And like Chris said, they're filling up. Whether it's with memberships or with public play as well, doing 200 rounds a day is really good to see for a local course in the area. Like I said, my goal doing this show is to shed light on Michigan golf. So it's
Love it.
great to see and hear you guys having success, as a local course. So let's talk a little bit about the course itself. And I don't know how much insight you can provide into
Yeah.
this, But do you know if there are like any obstacles with the renovation itself? And I don't know if maybe that's a question for the director of golf. But I'm curious if you can provide any insight into that. Someone submitted that question.
That's a great question. So I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
exactly, but I do know that when I've been involved with courses that have done renovations, and anytime you're digging up the ground, you find things that are unexpected, if that makes
yeah,
sense. And so you find this property's been around for a long time, so I know they ran into finding water lines or electrical lines that
yeah,
aren't properly marked. Um, the
yeah,
other thing they did though is they added some water hazards, some pretty large water hazards.
yeah.
As
Oh
as
yeah,
far as
they did. I found a
as far
couple.
as I've been told, the one on 18 that was not water, correct?
No, I think they made it bigger
Okay,
from the looks of
yeah,
it. I believe there was. I didn't play there a ton. It had been years since I
okay,
had been at the old property
okay,
there. But I know they made it a lot bigger. I know the one on, I believe the one on 4 is new.
okay.
I'm pretty
Yep,
sure
that makes sense.
by the green or so. Because I know because I hit it in that, or maybe it's 5. I hit it in that water from 16.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that's where
That's a
so
popular play.
that's why I know it's
Yeah, that's a
there.
popular place
Yeah,
off of six. Yeah,
that sixth hole is brutally hard. So let's transition a little bit into some of the holes. Do you know how many new holes were actually put in versus how many holes were I don't want to say reused, but kept from the old layout itself?
that that's an awesome question. So I know of four holes that are kind of right where they used to be. Um,
Yeah,
I know hole three is that par three over water
the
that
par
was
three.
that was
Yeah,
there.
I think 1, 2, and 3 were all
Yeah,
there
so
prior. I
you're
think
right.
from
Yeah, hole one used to be old hole two.
yeah,
Hole two
yes,
was old hole three, and then three was
it's
four.
3
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
4.
And
Yes.
then some of the properties on the outside of the property, or some of the holes on the outside of the property. So hole seven on the front nine is very similar. It's a par four, kind of getting closer to the railroad tracks there. And then I
Yeah.
know on the back nine holes 12, 13, kind of up the property line,
Yeah.
are in a very similar spot. So it's funny because I
Yeah.
I talk to people that we hear people come into the shop that one of the first
Yeah.
things that I always ask them is this your first time playing it? And it's like a complicated question because everybody's like,
Yeah.
well, yes, but also
Yeah.
no. I've played here for 30 years,
Yeah.
but not for 2.5 years. And then I always tell them to
Yeah.
come in the shop after and tell me what they think because I want to hear their
Yeah.
feedback. And it's funny because some people say like, oh yeah, I recognize a lot of the hole locations, and uh, they're obviously nicer holes, and they're slightly
Yeah.
redesigned, but a lot of them are the same. And then some
Yeah.
tell me that they don't recognize like a single hole, right? So it's like it, and I unfortunately I didn't get to play the old layout. I
Yeah.
really wish I would have now. I mean, knowing what I do now and knowing where I'm at, it would have been
Yeah.
fun to come over. But yeah, I guess I don't know the exact number, but just from talking to people, I should have studied more before this. Sorry.
My bad. Didn't mean to quiz you.
No,
Didn't
this
mean
is
to
good.
quiz you.
This is
I
good.
know from my experience, just and my plan is to do a course review. So if you're gonna stick around for this interview, we're gonna do a course review of the Cardinal at some point. But 1, 2, and 3 were looked like they had a little redesign on the green, but the similar layout. 4, 5, and 6 all looked like they were new holes. The two par fives obviously being very scoreable opportunities, but then you had that sixth hole, which
Please.
that tee shot will haunt me for probably the rest of my life. That is a brutally
Yeah,
hard hole.
yeah,
And I feel like you gotta make your, at least on the front nine itself, you gotta make your birdies 1 through 5, and then 6, 7, 8. Are all tough holes. 7 with a generous fairway, but a tough
yep,
green. 6 is obviously just to kind of take bogey and hope, for most people. 8 being a tough par 3, but even like I know 9 I think was a similar hole. It looked like they maybe moved some stuff around, but even like the aesthetic of like adding, it looked like, I don't know if they're church pews or the wiregrass, whatever it is in that fairway bunker. That 9 and 10, like those holes were good with the original layout, but adding the aesthetic of those bunkers off the tee and the stuff to make the course look more proper, like you said, more pristine, like a proper golf course, stuff like that has been is extremely noticeable and makes the course, like I said, really stand out. And then on the back 9, I know, like I said, 10 and 11 I think are the same ish. 12 looked like the new hole. I'm trying to remember. I know 13 looked
12 is a new par 5.
I think. Yeah, that's what I thought. And then 18 obviously was a par 3 that they moved that tee shot kind of all the way back, which is now an uphill of par 4. 17 I think was new. That's which I love that hole, by the way. That drivable par 4. I made double there.
That's a fun hole.
That's a good little hole.
Did you hit driver there?
Yeah, I hit mini driver and I hit it into the woods on 18. I double crossed. I tried to hit a big cut, pole hooked it, made 6, but I digress. What I really like is I think the par 3s are all very solid holes with I think it's 16. 16 is a very beautiful hole, just a elevated par 3, a tough par 3 with a really big, undulated green. But the course itself, I think, looks awesome. Like I said, if you haven't gotten a chance to play it, make sure you do. With a mix of new holes and and old holes, kind of, like I said, whether it's redesigned or revamped, the course looks great. And I am a huge fan of it. And like I said, it's good to hear that you're extremely invested in not only the course, but feedback as well from the locals, whether they play or but people who are there for the resort as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're this year is a good year for us to get feedback from everybody, right? And we know we know the product is good. We know the golf course is awesome. So it's just it's getting feedback and yeah.
For sure. What's your favorite hole out there?
So 17 is up there for me for sure. But hole 5 I like a lot. So
yeah, I really like that hole too.
New par 5. It's pretty. It looks claustrophobic off the tee a bit, but it's not as tight as it looks. I came from the Pacific Northwest, so I'm used to like trees that are 100 years old lining every fairway. So everything out here looks open to me. But yeah, 5s. I like the par 5s. 3 out of the 4 are pretty gettable, right? So if you hit a good drive, you have a chance to get on or close to the green in 2. But it's just 5. There's just a lot going on. The contouring of the fairway, where you can kind of bail out right, and the fairway kicks you back left into the fairway. And then if you want to lay up, it's a generous layup, but the green's super interesting. So you're going over water, and it's kind of a green that has 3 very separate parts to it, and so I think it's just perfect for a par 5.
Yeah, I agree. I think 5 and 12 are both really cool holes. 12 being just that kind of tree lined. For me, I like to play a fade, so I love that tee shot of just aiming left and swinging as hard as I want, basically. And that green is tough, on 12 and 5 as well. Like I said, 5, I think when I played, it was a left pin. I was on like that slope that's like this, and I had to put up that hill. So it's a really interesting layout. I do really like all the par 5s. The new ones, like I said, 4, 5, and 12. And I think 11 was an existing hole, but awesome. Okay, do you happen to know the course record off the top of your head?
So I know there was early on. We had a junior player, really good, I think 17-year-old, come out and shoot 66. Did you shoot 60? Did you shoot 67?
No, I did not. I did not.
And so I think that still stands. Yeah, I think that's still standing.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of anybody coming in lower than that.
Yeah. So I guess let me ask this: what's your lowest round? What's your best round out there? Have you gotten a chance to play a ton on the course?
It's a tricky question for a golf pro. We don't get to play. So my first round was it's funny. My first round was my lowest round. So I think playing out there, hitting driver well, this is like the most obvious question or answer, right? But hitting driver well makes the course play pretty easy. Not
Yeah,
easy.
for sure.
Golf's never easy. But if you're hitting driver well,
Easier.
some of those par fours you have a wedge in, and then some of the par fives are reachable. So
Yeah.
I shot 73. I've only played it twice, full 18s. So I get
Okay.
out for a few nines
Okay.
occasionally. Um,
Okay.
what'd you shoot?
I think I was like 78, dude. I was one under. I shot 37 on the
Yeah,
front with a couple bad bogeys. I had too many lost balls. That was my thing. I had two water balls, and I still shot one over with two birdies. But I finished, I think, 15. 15 for me. That tee shot like haunts me from way back
yeah.
in the day. So I pumped one right in the trees there, made double there. Three putted 16 for bogey, doubled 17, bogeyed 18. So I had a
Wow.
really good finish. I think I was 77 or
Okay.
78. Yeah, it was a frustrating finish. I was playing so good, and like you said, golf's never easy, and you just lose it like
Yeah.
that. Literally one
Yeah.
swing. I hit 5 greens in a row on the back. I hit every green up to 15, and then I didn't hit a single. Or I hit 16. So, but regardless, it was it's a tough course. I want to play it again,
Yeah.
obviously, because I know it's gettable. For me, I hit it pretty long
Yeah.
and relatively straight for the most part. So it does, like, I can agree and make it play a little easier. But I just think the greens are super difficult with them being new. They roll so pure, and I don't think you guys have them as fast as you could get them. And I personally,
Yeah.
but they're firm. So you got to, you do have to land it. It does bring into consideration, which some people don't really do, is you have to land it either short or roll it up and judge that first bounce, because they are newer greens, so they are firm, but they do roll really true as well, which I'm sure you can attest to.
Yeah. I've never really been around brand new greens like this over an extended period of time, but
Yeah,
you can certainly, like, even when you're hitting chip shots, it makes a different sound, right? It's like firm.
yeah, you can
There's a
hear it.
thud.
Yeah,
The ball, it takes a lot to stop the ball, which is just
yeah,
like they were built on like the proper material. So over time, I'm sure,
yeah,
over time they'll soften a bit, and they have actually, I've been here 3 months now, and they're softer now than they were 3 months ago.
yeah,
But yeah, I'm sure they could get them faster. We had them pretty fast a few
yeah.
weeks ago for our club championship. Yeah, and you can,
That's not and that's not a knock on the course personally.
yeah,
I just know, like, most country clubs, which I'm sure you played a lot of private, most country clubs don't speed greens up unless it's for the club
totally,
championship, because they don't want to upset their members. Not that's what you guys do, but you can always get greens
totally,
faster, right? I mean,
totally,
regardless.
totally.
So that was not a knock on the course at all. The greens still roll great, but like I said, I love super fast greens, so I love to see them rolling at
Yeah,
12. But I know that is probably not something that's
yeah,
going to happen.
yeah.
Um, so this is a question that was, and so a lot of these questions were just submitted from the Instagram story that I posted. But and I don't know if you have any insight into this, but do you know what, like, the 12-month plan for the course looks like? Is there going to be, like, based on any feedback you guys get this year? Is there going to be any improvements? Is there going to be, like, more holes built? Because I know there's still some of the property, I think, that's being not used. But what does that look like? If you have any insight into
I
that?
don't think they're not going to build any more golf out there. I think the thing to look for is just how the memberships are going to work, and the
Yeah.
pricing, and I'm sure some of that will change. Like I said, we did 100 memberships, um,
Hmm.
and I think we ended up at just over 100 actually, and
Yeah.
really really popular. We have a now a waiting list of, you know 50 or 60 people already interested in next year. So, um,
Yeah.
as you know, we've been open now about 5 6 weeks, 5 weeks to
Yeah.
the general public. So it's just seeing, yeah, it's getting some data, seeing who's coming out to play, getting some feedback. I think with every round you get an email too that asks you to fill
Does
to
a
fill out a
survey,
survey, and so,
I think. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's important to know what your customers are saying, and getting feedback about the
Hmm.
experience, right? And we are
For sure.
definitely under a bit of a microscope, being closed for 2 years and having all the locals, drive
Right.
past it and seeing that putting green being built and hearing about it. And
Right.
um, one thing we're constantly doing is kind of, there's like rumors that are flying around about the property too. Sometimes that just bad information gets started and then gets passed around. And so a lot of times we're just trying to educate people on what we're offering and the price structures. And yeah, I would
For sure.
say no major changes on the golf course, but definitely,
Okay.
potentially with just the memberships that we're offering and
For sure.
green fees, things like that.
Before we get into the rapid fire questions and let you go, because you've already been super generous with your time, is there anywhere anyone listening or watching can check out to get more information on membership or pricing? Do you guys have a website, email, anyone to reach out to, just for the listeners of the show?
So all the information is on the website. So we just launched a new golf specific website. So if you go to the St. John's website, you can click on the word golf, and it kicks you over to the Cardinal. I should know this. The Cardinal Golf Course. Let me look it up real quick. TheCardinalGolf.com is what it is.
Cool. Okay.
So,
And if anyone
so
listening
my
or
info's
watching,
on
make
there.
sure you
Our
check that out.
memberships. How to sign up. So we do a residence club as well. That's what we call it. So that's the membership that you're a part of. So it's a membership for everybody living in those 6 cities. It's free to join. It's just a way for us to kind of collect everybody's info and then we verify where you live with an ID when you come and check in. Just because it's such a significant discount that we just want to make sure we're hooking up the right people. That makes sense.
For sure. People like to take advantage of some systems, which I completely understand. So, I'm from your side, not from their side. Sorry. So I get why you guys do the verification. Like you said, you guys provide a great discount for the locals, which is huge. Awesome. So let's transition into the rapid fire, and then I will let you go. So these are going to be just random golf questions that my ADHD brain drums up when I get ready for these interviews. So favorite golfer.
So not including Tiger Woods or.
It could be Tiger. I mean, I feel like a lot of the people I've interviewed have said Tiger because most people, I'm 30, so most people growing up kind of my age or older, either Tiger or Phil guy, right, for that generation. So a lot of people have said Tiger, but if you have a second favorite, more than happy to hear that as well.
Max Homa would be
Max Homa?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Why? Just because you like his... I love his attitude, man. He is such a grinder, and it's so cool to see how he's bounced back from basically rock bottom, which I don't know if a lot of people know.
He did a podcast with Shane Bacon over COVID. He did it for about a year.
Yeah.
And just like while they were playing, he would come in and talk to Shane. And I think that was tough because he would have obviously good weeks and bad weeks. And like he was reliving these bad weeks. He eventually just, I think, stopped doing it just because. But yeah, like he talked about how he basically didn't know where his golf ball was going off the tee. He was playing professional golf. He made one cut right over the I think it was 2016, maybe more recently 2018 season. He made $16,000 all year on the golf course, and that was one cut. And he just like was out there just feeling embarrassed, had no idea where it was going, and had to try and play golf for a living. So I just like how honest he is about all that, and he's just a grinder too. Just watching him at the Ryder Cup and
British Open recently, that putt he made on 18 to make the cut.
Exactly. And then he was what major the Masters. He was in the final group of the Masters, and just I just like his interviews. Just seems like a genuine person.
For sure. He's a good man of the people too. Obviously big social media guy, famous for roasting people's swings on Twitter, which, kind of made him, he's a real, I love Max. He's a good dude. I love the grit as a competitor. That's why I play golf, to get better. It's cool to see people show emotion, even if they're not winning, right? Making cut means something. So it's really cool to see that. Okay. What's in your bag? What kind of clubs do you use?
All TaylorMade.
All TaylorMade. Are you, do you use like older models for iron wise? I'm assuming you use the all QI10 for woods.
Actually,
but iron wise, do you use
QI10 driver? I have a Sim 2 3 wood. I have I shouldn't have said all TaylorMade. I have a Callaway Apex hybrid, so like the probably 10 years old now.
Okay,
yeah, older one. And then I have P770s from 2 years ago. And then putting's been a journey this year, so I've got
three
three putters that are in rotation right now. One is the Max mallet, like one of the more forgiving mallets that they make, and then I
Yeah.
have a blade, and then I have an old Scotty that I just throw in the bag.
Cool.
But they're coming out with new irons soon.
Yeah.
I've seen some sneak peeks, so
Nice.
I'll probably
Oh
get
yeah.
some new irons shortly.
Are you a TP5 or TP5X
So
guy? Or do you
everything I
different ball?
do is like not what I would tell my students, but I play the TP5X. Even though I have low spin, I should play the regular one. I just like
Yeah.
how it feels. And I don't,
Yeah.
I'm not really playing too much competitive golf anymore. I just go out and have
Yeah.
fun. So I play the picks. I like the
For
picks.
sure.
I like having stuff all over the golf
Nice.
ball. So
Yeah. Cool. How many hole-in-ones, if any?
3.
3? Any famous holes? Anything out in Oregon at like Bandit or
No.
anything?
So 2 of them were at Vail Golf Club. I was at Vail Golf Club for 9 years up in the mountains in Colorado. So 2 of them there.
Oh, sweet.
Both of them in playing lessons. So one was with a playing lesson, one was with a
Nice.
junior camp, which was fun because the kids went
Yeah,
crazy. We just were running around the hole. And then one
for sure.
on the island of St. Kitts. I did an internship down there in college. So yeah,
Sweet. Lowest round. It doesn't have to be anything recent, but what's your lowest
68.
round ever that you've shot? Doesn't have to be in
Yeah.
competition either. Okay, 68. Cool. And then last one before we wrap up. What is the coolest golf moment in your life that you've experienced? Doesn't have to be playing.
Wow.
It could be anything on the course.
Well, so the one that comes to mind, I was at the PGA Championship in 2006 at Medina. And I
Yeah.
was there. I went to Ferris State and was there working in the merchandise tent. Me and 15 other PGM students, and we would work like 4 hours on, 2 hours off, 4 hours on. So we had 2 hours periodically to go watch golf. And this was Monday of the PGA Championship. There was like a huge rain delay, and I was just in the merch tent, and it was my turn to go outside. The rain stopped. I went to the far end of the property and like stumbled upon Tiger and Butch playing a practice
Sweet.
round, and there were like 10 other people around, and my buddy and I just walked with them for 4 or 5 holes, and it was the most
Oh, that's
easy
amazing.
going because it was Monday of a major, so it
Yeah.
wasn't Wednesday. So they were having fun, and Butch was throwing his ball in impossible places, and Tiger was, and they were talking to us, and it was, yeah, it was cool. We just walked with
That's
Tiger
awesome,
for
dude. That's a
90
great
minutes or
story.
so. Um,
That's
I know
everyone's dream.
it
That's
was
sweet.
crazy. It was yeah,
that
yeah. Just got lucky.
sweet, man.
Lucky.
Yeah. Hey, but sometimes
Yeah,
you got to. That's so cool though. Those are the type of experiences and stories that you can only you
yeah.
kind of cherish, right? Because that's why we love
100.
golf. We're always working, right? We're always trying to get better,
Yep.
just like Tiger. Cool. Well, guys, that's going to wrap up. Chris, thank you so much
Of
for the
course.
time. Before we wrap up, do you want to plug any socials, anything for the course, anything like that before we send you on
Yeah.
your
So
way?
all of, like I said, all the teaching info is on the website. I'm on Instagram, Chris Johnson Golf. Um, no, come check out the Cardinal though. It's awesome. Or the putting course or the par 3. Do
Sweet.
any of it. It's fun.
Yeah, for sure. Local residents, make sure you check it out. Like I said, if you live in the 6 cities that you mentioned, whatever 30 minutes ago, rewind, go check it out. You'll get a resident discount. It's a really fun time. I highly recommend it. Make sure you book your round sometime soon. So thanks for the interview time, Chris. Like I said, leave a comment for anything that you think Chris should do because he's local to the area for Michiganders. Really appreciate the
Yep.
time. Thanks,
Absolutely.
Chris.